Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to Chapter 1, Lesson 3 on rates. We are starting off with a page on vocabulary. You could either use your glossary or as I'm going through the notes, you can pick up on the vocabulary and go back and fill this in. So remember we talked about the difference between a fraction and a ratio. Well, from there, we break down a ratio into a rate, and then we further break down a rate into a unit rate. So all of these are related. Go ahead, fill in the blanks, and be sure you look at the examples. Those are really important. All right, let's get started with our note taking. You could pause the video and do that or come back to it. So what is a rate? A rate is actually a ratio, and we know what a ratio is, a comparison of two quantities by division. This time, though, it's more specific. A rate is a ratio comparing two quantities, but it has different kinds of units. A unit rate has a denominator of 1 when the rate is written as a fraction. So unit actually means 1. And to write a rate as a unit rate, we divide the numerator and the denominator. So we divide the numerator by the denominator and then write 1 as the denominator. I made the directions a little bit easier so you can change those. So let's see a problem so we can apply this. Barbara typed a 15-character text message in 5 seconds. Now I know seconds are a rate because rate means time. Okay, so it means could mean seconds, minute, hours, days, things like that, etc. Okay, so when we talk about rates, we're talking about time. Okay, the table below shows the ratio, the rate, and the unit rate in which Barbara typed the text message. So here's some examples. 15 to 5 with a colon, 15 to 5 in words, and 15 to 5 is a fraction. Our rate would be, usually you write a rate in a fraction form, so 15 characters to 5 seconds. And notice we added the word characters and the word seconds. We do that just to make sure we set the problem up correctly, characters to seconds, and the time or the rate is usually at the bottom. And then unit rate, to write a unit rate, like we said, we divide the numerator by the denominator. So that remember that this fraction bar also means divide. So how did we get the unit rate? 15 divided by 5 equals 3. So 3 is the numerator, and we just make a 1 as the denominator. So unit rate means over 1. So let's try our example here. Samantha picked 45 oranges in 5 minutes. Write this rate as a unit rate. So let's start by writing the ratio 3 different ways. 45 oranges in 5 minutes. That's a ratio of 45 to 5 as a colon, 45 to 5 in words, and 45 to 5 in fraction form. Whenever you write it as a rate, it's always easiest to write as a fraction. So 45 oranges she picked in 5 minutes. Remember, rate is the time, 5 minutes. To find it as a unit rate, divide the numerator by the denominator. So this fraction bar is a division sign as well. So what is 45 divided by 5? It's 9. So 9 oranges. And it's a unit rate. Unit means 1 in 1 minute. Okay, let's look at one more sample problem. An Australian dragonfly can travel 18 miles in 30 minutes. The two things being compared are miles to minutes. How far can the dragonfly travel in 1 minute? So my ratio, go ahead and write that, is 18 to 30. 18 to 30. And as a fraction, 18 to 30. Rates are easier to solve if you write them in fraction form. So 18 miles to 30 minutes. is written as a fraction. All right, look at our unit rate. Remember we said you can divide the numerator by the denominator, but what happens here? 18 divided by 30 is actually going to be a decimal number. Okay, I already know it's 0.6. All right, what we can do, because it's going to be not a whole number, a decimal number is not a whole number, it's really less than 1, so it's a fraction. Let's just simplify 18/30ths. 18/30ths have a common factor of 6, so we get 3/5. So I'm going to write my unit rate as a fraction now, because when I divide 18 by 30, I get a small number. So I get 3/5 miles in 1 minute. Okay. The next page I would like you to try to do on your own. See if you understand it. Remember, always look back at the examples. If you're stuck, try to figure out what happened in the example. And then finally, on unit prices, just like unit rates, except we're talking about money. So you can use what you know about unit rates to find a unit price. The unit price is the cost per unit. Okay, and per means 1, okay, for 1 unit. And units could be things are sold in ounces or pounds, okay? Sometimes it has to do with weight. To write a price as a unit price, write the rate as a fraction, like we just did, and then it says divide the numerator and denominator. I'm just going to say divide them and put a 1 under it in your denominator. Put a 1 for the denominator. So let's see how easy this is. It costs $36 for 4 movie tickets. That's the rate. So the cost per unit for 1 ticket is, well, this is division. 36 divided by 4 is 9. And we put a 1 under it. So it's $9 per ticket, or the ratio or rate is 9 to 1. $9 for 1 ticket. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. 4 potted plants cost $88. What's the price per plant? That means for 1 plant. So we set up the ratio, or the rate is $88 for 4 plants. What is 88 divided by 4? That's $22. So the price per plant is $22 for 1 plant. All right, go ahead and stop and come back with any questions you might have.